Aloha and welcome to this module on software project hosting. Well, it's a kind of a rainy day here in Hawaii, but that doesn't reflect my mood because I am super psyched to talk with you today about what I think you'll find to be one of the most interesting and significant modules from this entire course. And why do I think that? Well, it's basically because software project hosting is one of the fundamental ways that you're going to succeed in satisfying the 3' directives. Now, I know that you went and you examined other projects from SourceForge early in the semester, and most of you found them quite lacking with respect to their ability to satisfy the 3' directives. After you finish this module, you'll have all the tools you need to create hosted systems that satisfy those directives. Isn't that exciting? I think it's pretty exciting. And furthermore, we're not going to use SourceForge or even Google Project Hosting. We're going to use the latest, hottest, the fad project hosting system of the moment, GitHub. Okay, and it's actually pretty cool. I think you'll have a lot of fun learning to use it. So I want to start off just by saying there are a lot of project hosting, open source project hosting solutions out there. SourceForge is the granddaddy of them all. It was really the first one, and it's still extremely popular, has the most users, has the most projects, has the most ads, unfortunately, as you can see from the screen image, but it's definitely a very appropriate solution. Google Project Hosting is another one that's probably second most in popularity. Very clean, nice interface, really nothing wrong with it. And then also there's CodePlex, which is a Microsoft-oriented, Windows-oriented open source project hosting system. I don't know too much about it, but it does appear to have a lot of users, and my assumption is if you're doing Windows-specific development, so if you're building software that only runs on Windows, there's probably some great stuff here in CodePlex that you can use. But what we're going to be using this semester is GitHub, which is, kind of the preeminent hosting site for software that's being managed via the Git configuration management system, and it certainly has mind share within the development community. So here's a shot of the GitHub interface. Why we want to do project hosting? Well, it's pretty obvious. First is that it provides a mechanism to support some sort of configuration management version control. That could be a distributed system like Git or Bazaar or Mercurial. It could be a centralized like Subversion or ClearCase, Perforce, etc. But it's going to build in something like that. It's going to provide a way to document your system, support some sort of issue management, and then provide downloads and public access to software. So my crucial point here is that all of you should be hosting all of your student projects at some public hosting site and making them available that way, and making links to that available in your professional portfolios, because that's the way that employers are going to see through example that you're capable of developing complete project solutions with the associated documentation, source code, and so forth. So I'm going to encourage you to go back to your past projects that maybe were only homework assignments, and then upload the code and create a nice little project page around them. Certainly the stuff you do in this class will be hosted that way, and then I'm hoping that in future you will never think twice about putting your source code and project artifacts someplace like GitHub, so that development is easier, management is easier, public sharing is easier, and so forth. Okay, so there's a number of practices. I've tried to whittle this down to what are kind of the key things that you want to step through to make sure that your project site has the minimal requirements for satisfying the 3' directives. So obviously you want to upload the source code. We've talked before about not having derived files, but also including things like if you have IDE files like for Eclipse or IntelliJ IDEA, that those files are included. If you're using Maven or some other the build tool, then the build file like pom.xml, etc. are included. Then there's a couple other things a little more specific to GitHub, Provide a top-level directory called images. That's where you're going to put screen dumps and so forth and any other images that you want to put in your documentation that would be hosted there. And then you'll have a top-level directory called release where you're going to put binary distributions of your system. Other project hosting sites have built-in support for downloads. GitHub used to have that. They took it away. Not sure why. I think it's a big mistake on their part. I assume they're motivated by issues other than actually what would make it the best project hosting site. But anyway, for now, we'll get around that by just having our own kind of manually maintained directory where binary releases can be downloaded. And then also you're going to create a home page, and then you're going to create 3 other pages as well: a user guide, a developer guide, and a contact us page. And if you have all those, the home page plus those 3 other pages, then you've got kind of the minimum requirements for a system that can satisfy the 3' directives. Okay, obviously you got to write those pages in the correct way, but really you can pretty much get away with those 4 pages. And what we'll be doing is going through and showing how you do that in GitHub. So with respect to the source code, here's the Robocode PMJ Decruiser site, which I'm going to use as kind of the example for this. You can see the source code is in the source directory. We've got our top-level files for Maven and Eclipse, and then we've got that images and that release directory that we're going to be using for the project hosting stuff. We've got this very nice little home page, and you'll see it's kind of fun that GitHub provides some nice templates so you can pick the look and feel for your home page. Very importantly, it should have some kind of image of some aspect of your system in order to give people some understanding of what's going on. I'll talk about the home page details a little further. So they should always include links to your other pages, your other wiki pages, for further details. Here's a little screenshot of your user guide. So, in order to satisfy the prime directives, right, a user should be able to download and install a version of your system, and should not require the user to be a programmer, or should not require the user to be a user of Eclipse or a user of Maven. And so your user guide is going to be oriented around that type of person. In contrast, the developer guide is your way of getting new developers involved in your project, and that's going to have much more extensive explanations of what your development process is, your build tools, how to create a binary release, how to generate documentation, and so forth. Okay? Finally, there should be a contact us page just to make it clear how it is that new people can get engaged in the project, if they're either as users or as developers. Okay, so if you have mailing lists, you'd explain where the mailing lists are located on this page. If you just want people to contact you individually, you can provide contact information. You can see in this page I'm pointing people at my GitHub profile page, which has my email address and so forth there. Okay, so and also how you would want the users to report errors or enhancements. Okay, so that's that. Let's now actually, here we see the actual home page for the Decruiser project, and one of the new things right now is responsive design. I think we're going to get to that a little later this semester. But just a quick little note, as you can see, as the screen size gets smaller and smaller, in fact, the page dynamically reformats itself. This is called responsive design. It's also kind of cool when you scroll. You notice that the left column doesn't change, only the right column changes. But anyway, as things get smaller and smaller, you can see that the text size changes, the image size changes. So in fact, you could be doing development on a mobile phone, or at least displaying the project on a mobile phone. I don't know if you can quite do Java development on your mobile phone like in the bus or anything yet, but it's pretty cool. If you wanted to look at this project page on your mobile phone, it would display quite nicely. Pretty cool. Okay. Fortunately, we're not going to have to develop any of the underlying HTML or CSS to do that. We're going to get that just by virtue of the fact that we're GitHub users. So this is the home page. Notice it has a nice image of the system. It has a description of what the system accomplishes. That's this section right here. For Robocode development, as we said before, you should document how it moves, how it targets, how it fires, and it's always good to say how someone could beat it. And then the next section has the links to the other pages. Okay, Very important to have. There's this final thing is that to note that this particular project's a little different because I'm a teacher. I'm using it as pedagogic support, and so there's actually two branches. The master branch, which I give out to you early in the semester, which is the very basic stuff for Maven, and then this quality assurance branch where I add in all this other stuff, including the project hosting stuff is in this branch as well. Anyway, so let's take a quick look at the user guide. Okay, so this is a page again for binary releases, and it says you can go to the release directory, and we can click that link, and we can see that there is this jar file containing a binary release of the system. And you click the link to download it, and then you copy it into your robots directory, and then you do battle, and I have a little screen image here showing how that works. Okay, then I can go back and I'll show you the developer guide. Okay, so this is a much longer thing. It has how to download the source, install Maven, all this kind of stuff. You've read through this before, how to build the system, generate the design documentation. So how do you get the Java docs? Here's what the Java docs look like after they're generated. How to use Eclipse. How to use it as a template for your own development, which is something, again, this project's a little special. It's kind of a meta-level project. The quality assurance stuff, you've probably seen this by now. And then importantly, some new stuff is development process guidelines. So if you're working in a community of people, how do you use this system to, what is the development process that you want people to have? And in this class, we have a very specific development process. Okay, the idea is that you're going to use this verify target or goal quite a bit. Whenever you download updates that someone else has been working on from your system, the very first thing is you're going to invoke the verify goal to make sure that your local version of the system is in a clean state. It passes PMD check style find bugs. If it's not in a clean state, then you immediately have to fix that, generally by finding out who did the last commit and seeing what was up with them and what the particular issues are. But get it in a clean state. Once it's in a clean state, only then do you do new development. Okay? And that's important because after you finish doing whatever new enhancements you have, then, prior to committing your changes, make sure that it passes check style, PMD, and find bugs and so forth again. Okay? Only when that's true do you actually commit the changes. Okay? So what's nice about this process, if it's always passing check style, PMD, and find bugs, as well as all your test cases, of course, then you will keep the code clean. Okay? And it's very easy once you start to let errors accumulate is to just abandon all pretense of quality assurance or say, oh, I'm going to do that before I have to turn it in or before the next release or whatever. Sloppy. Don't get into that habit. Always keep the code clean. Okay? Final section of this is creating a new binary release, and the way we do that is actually, the way I document that here is by using the GUI interface of the RoboCode system to package the robot for distribution. Okay? So that's what the development guide looks like. And then there's this contact us page. And this explains that we'd like to hear from you, create a GitHub issue, or contact the developer if you have bugs. There's no mailing list, make that explicit. And then the contact information, you can go to my page, and there you see my email there. It's really up to you if you want them to go to that page, or maybe they go to your professional portfolio or some other thing. Up to you how you want to do that. Maybe you'll have a mailing list, and that's how you want people. But there should be an explicit page that explains that, because it's not completely obvious from the other sections of the system, and you want it to be very kind of a first-class topic. The first thing, they should be very easy for them to contact you. So don't bury it in one of the other pages. Okay, so let's go to the actual GitHub page. So now I'm going to kind of really quickly explain to you how you create these various pages now that you've seen what they look like. Okay, first thing is the home page. The home page, it's a little hidden. You're going to go to settings, and then you're going to go down here to this GitHub pages thing, and you're always going to click on this automatic page generator. Okay, and when you click on that, the first time you click on it, it's going to there won't be anything in here, and you'll have to type in stuff or include the README file or whatever you want to do. But basically, it'll give you this form that you fill out, and the ability to type in stuff. And you can see use this Markdown format, and you can click this link if you want to find out about how Markdown works out. You can see here that here's the kind of the syntax for including an image in the file, and you can notice that I refer to the images directory and the PNG file that I put there in order to include that. Okay, and then so you get done editing this however you want to edit it. The next thing you do is say continue to layouts. Okay, and when you continue to layouts, you get to this page where it has this whole selection of layouts that you can use. It always defaults to the slate one, a little irritating. I wish it remembered the one you picked before. But you can scroll through these and play around. You can definitely spend 10 minutes like just checking out these different layouts. Pick any one you want, that feels good to you. It doesn't matter to me. They're all good. The one I just tend to like is the minimal one. So once you've found the format that you like, and you can scroll down and see what it looks like, then you click this publish. Okay, and you'll get this little thing saying that it takes a little while for it to happen. It says 10 minutes. It's really like 10 seconds in my experience, so it's no big deal. So that's how you create your home page, and then every single time you want to make an update, again, back to settings, scroll down, click this automatic page generator. It'll give you the current state. This is also the way that you find what the link is to that, okay, that nice home page. And that's actually the link that you want to put on other pages, like on your professional portfolio page. You'll use this link rather than the standard, the kind of more generic GitHub link, which, no, that's not the one I wanted. Okay, so you might be tempted to use this one, which brings people to this kind of very complicated, potentially stressful looking page. Okay, how much nicer it is to take the basic user to this page, right, where they get a much kind of nicer interface, and hopefully they'll click on the user guide if that's what they want to do, and then they'll see this and so forth. Okay, so anyway, that's the way you do the home page. Okay, second thing we want to know is how do we do the developer guide, the user guide, and the contact page. And for that, we're going to use this wiki section of GitHub. And you can click on this new page or edit page, these buttons. I'll click on this. Here's the user guide. And then I can click on the edit page, and it'll give me this editing window. You can also kind of pull a branch called gh-pages or something, and you could edit this locally. I haven't actually done that. I've just edited online. It's pretty straightforward. Anyway, you play around with this, and that's how you create the wiki pages for the user guide, the developer guide, and the contact us page. Okay, so having done this, what I want you to do is kind of look at these as templates for how you create documentation that attempts to satisfy the 3' directives. This documentation is not perfect. There's other things that you could do, but it does show kind of the minimum level of things that you want to have in your system. Okay, so I hope that's helpful to you, and I'll see you real soon.